Hello, SynGAP land. My name is Michael Graglia, and this is episode 139 of SynGAP 10, your 10-minute weekly briefing on everything you need to know about SynGAP 1. About a year ago, I recorded a little video with John. He just crawled up on my lap, and we were talking at my desk. John is my 5-year-old neurotypical kid. And this morning, I had what has become a daily routine where we say, John, it's time to go to school. He's, and we say, John, I don't want to go to school. Why do I have to go to school? We say, John, it's not a have to, it's a get to, right? This is a great opportunity. Not everyone gets to go to school. So we pick John up, put him in the car, John goes to school. And I was writing the show notes for this show last night, and I realized that like the have to get to thing is actually a good reminder for me too, right? And I wanted to share it with you guys because a lot of people are like, Mike, we're asking parents to do so much. We're asking parents to, raise money and donate. I'm like, guys, it's not a have to. It's a get to, right? We get to raise funds to change the future. Like when I was diagnosed and I said we need to spend money on science, guess what? I didn't know where to send the money. There was nothing out there to do. Yeah, there were a bunch of labs who would have taken our money, but I didn't know that it made sense, right? With SRF, we get to raise money. There's someone there to take the money. There's a board to manage it. There's people to write tax receipts. And then there's a scientific advisory board and a CSO to help us figure out where the money should go. If you can't give large sums of money and you want to give your time, there's a chance to do so in an organized manner. We have many volunteer opportunities. You get to volunteer, you get to raise money, you get to connect with other families, you get to share your experience with scientists because SRF connects you to the scientists. The scientists who are doing studies on SynGAP come to us and we connect the dots and we get to learn from each other. And this episode is a big episode, guys. I got a lot of news for you, a lot of news. This one you need to listen to. But I just want to remind everybody before I jump in, SRF is a get to. There are a lot of people out there with a rare disease who do not have a functioning patient advocacy group. There's a lot of people out there who can raise money, but they don't know where to send it. There's a lot of people out there who can give time, but they're not sure what they can do to really help the cause. And SRF and patient advocacy groups really solve all of those problems. And I'm just really excited. So let's talk about raising money. Sprint for SynGAP is live. It is in 5 days. If you have no idea what that is, we just put a newsletter out this morning. 5 days to go for Sprint for SynGAP. Read that newsletter. Links in the show notes. To date, we've raised $197,000 from over 500 donors. Thank you to those 500 donors. Thank you for that $200,000. That's going to allow us to fund at least a whole grant, probably two. Guys, this is how it's done. We cannot change the future for SynGAP without important, focused translational research, and we cannot do that without money. So this is a chance to just go out, have some fun with your friends, do a run, raise some money. You're like, oh, it's only 5 days left, I'll do it next year. No, you got 5 days. Takes 5 minutes to set up a campaign, email all your friends, tell them it's tax deductible, tell them SRF is changing the future for your loved one, raise some money. We're at $197,000 from over 500 donors. Our goal is $250,000. Let's get to $250,000, folks. You can do it. I'm going on Saturday to the Northern California Sprint. Go to the nearest Sprint, hang out. If there isn't a Sprint near you, just run in your backyard this year and set one up next year. This is really important. I want to thank everybody who's raising funds for Sprint for SynGAP. Volunteer. I was thinking about this and I was like, somebody said this once and I looked it up. It's Joan Baez, one of the great sort of advocates and singers back in the 60s. She's still alive, by the way. And, volunteering is the reason I brought up Joan Baez. Action is the antidote to despair. Action is the antidote to despair. Right? If there's no SRF, if there was no science, if we were born in another time with these kids, doctors literally said to patients, sorry, there's nothing we can do for your kid. Go home and love him. It's not going to be easy. They actually said that. It's not true anymore, right? But it would be easy to believe that and just get really sad and desperate. The way to understand that despair is not the answer, the way to really get the future for SynGAPians is going to be so much brighter than what you might have initially believed, is to get involved in this community, to connect with other parents, and to see how fast things are changing. Keep listening to this episode, guys. The future's here. We have a state rep program. The first state rep meeting is May 3rd. This is a simple program. We need one person in each state to keep track of what's going on in that state. There's over 400 patients in the US alone. We cannot keep track of everybody. We cannot know exactly what's going on. Some people are in crisis. Some people are thriving. Some people are learning new things, finding new meds. We need to keep track of this. So what we're asking for is one person in each state to just keep track of who's in that state, right? Very simple program. It's going to be a part of Corey Bazin's patient activation group. So if you're interested in that and you're not sure who's sort of the main node in your state, email info@curesyngap1.org. Let us know you want to be in the volunteer program. We also have a state advocate program. So advocates are people who would like keep track of what the laws are in your state about disability and keep track of how, the IEP laws and all the regs. Everybody at some point gets into a fight with their school district. Everybody needs to understand how you qualify for services in your state. So what we want to do is have a sort of an expert on the advocacy in each state, right? This is different than the person who keeps track of everybody. It could be the same, it's sort of two different jobs. And we are very fortunate in this community to have Jackie Kancir in Tennessee, who is just a national level advocate. She has changed policy in Tennessee. She is just a force of nature. And she has agreed to lead the state advocacy program. And so if you wanted to be the state advocate and you're interested in what's going on in the laws in your state and how and the IEP rules and everything, Jackie and team, I think Jess Johnson is in there too, are going to set up a state advocacy program. Let us know if you want to be in that. And there's many, many other roles. Guys, please, if you have some time and you want to help the cause, you don't have to be a scientist, guys. So much work, so much project management, so much finance, so much lead. There's so many things we're doing. We need people, and action is the antidote to despair. So choose hope and get in here and help us, right? Because SRF is a get to. Now, connecting with other families. The last episode where I left off, I said I was going down to San Diego to do this the movie launch for Aaron Harding. That movie is up on our website. If you go to Families Movies, you see all the movies of all the kids. Jackson is now on there. We've added that movie to our YouTube. It's an incredible event. It was an incredible event. We talked a lot about SynGAP. Aaron's community learned about SynGAP. I got to see this beautiful faith community that Aaron's a part of. And that movie's really powerful. That movie shows you what one family has done to support their SynGAPian Jackson Harding and how they've brought a whole community along with them. So it's excellent. Connecting with other families is part of it. And there were SynGAP families in that room, right? There were a lot of families who came together just for that, and we met each other for the first time. It's a beautiful thing. There's a sprint event this weekend, somewhere near you maybe, on Saturday. Go to that sprint event. Meet other families. Let your SynGAPian meet other SynGAPians. It's game-changing. And then speaking of connecting, last time I talked, Hope was driving... Rainey was driving her daughter Hope across the country and back to participate in 3 different studies, LA, Cook Children's, and CHOP. She's done that now. There's a little video. There's a Facebook reel. She raised a few $1,000s, and she did an interview on SynGAP Stories, I think episode 28. Links in the show notes. And she connected with so many families, and I'm really excited to see Rainey in person and hear all the stories, because there's nothing like it. Just seeing her little Facebook post, meeting all these different families as she drove around the country. It was an awesome trip. Again, this community is growing. Show up, participate, raise money, give your time, get to know each other. Guys, we're in this for life. We're in this for life. We got to love our SynGAPians. Part of what we get to do is share our experience and knowledge, right? Obviously, there's a Facebook group, the SRF community. We get to share our knowledge by going to CHOP. CHOP, by the way, is at 99 visits. They've had 99 visits completed or scheduled right now, and they want more. They're like, guys, we need more patients. We need more data. They are increasingly appreciating that SynGAP is tricky, and they got to learn more. So please sign up for CHOP. If there's any way you can get yourself to Philadelphia, this is a massive opportunity to take part in natural history study, and it's a clinical visit. What does a clinical visit mean? A clinical visit means you actually get feedback on your medication and your therapies and what your kid needs. You get a report. You can give it to other doctors. You can give it to your schools. Super valuable opportunity. You get to go to CHOP. You get to go to CHOP. Please do. Cincy is still recruiting too. Cincinnati is a wonderful genetic counselor in Cincinnati called Abigail, who is running a study on siblings, right? So this is a cool thing where if your sibling, I think it's like 7 to 17, you take a survey and then you immediately give the computer to your neurotypical kid, and they take it. I wish John was old enough to do this. And Cincy has recruited, 30, 40 people, but they want 50 or something. Please, if you have a neurotypical sibling of a SynGAPian between 7 and 17, do this survey. Because what Abigail's going to do is she's going to do some analysis and then feed it back in writing, and that's going to inform advice, because every parent says this. What do I tell my neurotypical kid? What is it like being a sibling? And Abigail's just a dedicated and passionate genetic counselor who's really got her heart in this. So there's 2 links in the show notes. One to the flyer about this survey and one to the actual survey you need to take. I can't encourage you enough to do this. And then, of course, part of what we get to do in SynGAP is learn from each other, right? So if you're Spanish speaking or you know people who are Spanish speaking that love your SynGAPian, point them to Cafe SynGAP Uno, right? So we have this incredible podcast. There's 2 new episodes up there at Peru and another country. Just learning, there's a whole Hispanic community is being stitched together by this incredible podcast. And that's, again, the work of SRF, which you're supporting. So thank you. Also SRF, and I'm just going to tease this. There are 2 things we've been working on that are coming soon. One of them is the Missense server. So for the Missense community, I got a preview of some work we've been funding there. If you remember from the meeting, we had some friends from Finland presenting and they talked about a server. I saw that server. It's going to be, the preprint's coming out soon. Really valuable resource. It's going to help all of our Missense families get better understood by their genetics teams. So that's important. And then there's a super cool frog paper. I cannot wait for it to come out, but it's any day now. I'm excited. Now, in the last episode, because you're like, Mike, you're always talking about stuff that's coming. It never comes. Wrong. In the last episode, I talked about a repurposing blog that was coming. And I was like, oh, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And one of the reasons is I've waited so long. It was also spring break, so I had to go and come back and, figure out where everything was again. But in the last episode, I said that we were going to release a blog on repurposing. And today, we have published that blog. This blog is a very big deal. This blog is a very big deal. Go and read this blog. Now, one of the many things we've done with this blog is we put it up, we looked at it in English, we did the Google Translate, we read it in French, we read it in English, read it in Italian, we said, okay, translation's pretty good. Because I'm expecting that this blog is going to be seen around the world and read many times. Go read this blog. I don't want to read you the whole blog, but essentially, as I've said before, and as Clement Chow said in our December meeting, N-acetylleucine, which is a drug that you can buy over the counter in France, seems to really make up for the deficit of SynGAP in his animal model. And turns out, safe. It's been in humans for 60 years and you can buy it in France. So guess what? A bunch of people have been buying it in France and trying it. Guess what? Go read the blog. We have a number of patients are on this drug right now. But we have had the first patient to try it. We were collecting data and we have shared that data in this blog. And it's pretty interesting, guys. Show it to your neurologist. And for those of you in Europe, people who can easily get to France or order from France, read the blog. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. And then I want to mention too, if you're newly diagnosed, you're like, what's going on? SynGAP.fund/resources. SynGAP.fund/resources. We have a link. We have a whole page for newly diagnosed families. And if you're a newly diagnosed family, SynGAP.fund/resources is the only place you need to go. Go there. All right. Oh, one more thing of good news. One more thing of good news. Just this morning it was announced. I've known about this for a week, but finally it's public. Faster Cures has a Leaders Link program, right? So I'm sitting here telling you guys, you got to learn about this and you got to go to webinars and you got to do surveys and you got to read this paper and you got to join our group. You get to do all these things, right? But guess what? I get to do cool stuff too. So step back for a second, put yourself in my shoes. 6 years ago, Ashley and I started SynGAP Research Fund because we were desperate for a better future for Tony and for all SynGAPians, right? And I've been working like crazy for 5 years, and I'm going to probably work till the day I die on this stuff. But the organization with the community is growing. And now I'm looking around and I'm like, whoa, I can't single-handedly do this anymore. I got Lauren, thank God, who helps me all the time, and I got this incredible leadership team, Ed and Corey and Kevin, and I could go on and on. Stephanie and Pavel and all the people. Who did I forgot something. I forgot so many people. Jackie. But I'm looking around and I'm thinking, okay, SRF is no longer a mom and pop, almost literally, kitchen table operation. Now we're a full-blown volunteer-led patient advocacy group. But guess what? There's 400 SynGAPians in the US, 1,400 in the world. Guess what? That number is going to grow. And as we start treating these kids, life's going to get even more complicated. So this organization needs to turn into a more established organization with more processes, more staff, more revenue, just more of everything as this community grows, right? Because imagine a world where there was nobody trying to take care of SynGAPians other than you and your family dealing with a doctor who can't spell SynGAP1. Oh, that's rough. Trust me, I've been there. So I need to now take this thing that I started with Ashley and help it develop into an established, professional, national, if not international patient advocacy group. How am I going to do that? Our kids can't afford for me to figure this one out on the fly. We got to get this right. And so I applied to this program called Leaders Link, which is a really amazing, and I'm grateful they let me in. A little surprised, honestly, but I'm grateful they let me in. I think they let in 8 people. This is a third cohort, so it's a 18-month program, 2-year, 18-month program. They had one cohort for like 2021, they had another cohort for 21, or 22, 23, and now they're having the third cohort, 24, 25. And I'm one of 8 people they let in there, and there's a capstone project I get to work on. And then we each get a mentor who's like somebody who's leading a national patient advocacy group. I'm really honored and thrilled for this opportunity to take part in this. So Milken Institute, which you've heard me talk about before, has a health group, and the health group has a rare disease group called Faster Cures, and Faster Cures has this program called Leaders Link. So I'm now part of Leaders Link, announced today. I'm thrilled that I get to take part in this, and I get to spend time learning from these people. And my whole goal in taking part in this, because I had one friend, I told them about this on Friday. They were like, dude, you do not need more stuff to do. Why are you joining programs? There's so many meetings. I was like, no. This is a get to. Like, this is a chance for me to learn and grow as a professional so that I can make sure that SRF becomes more established and a better resource for our families as fast as possible. That's the goal, right? So thank you, Milken, for accepting me. Thank you, Faster Cures, for having me. I put the press release in there. I put my post on Twitter, X, and my post on LinkedIn. If you're on Twitter and LinkedIn, please go and respond to those. And it's exciting stuff. It's exciting stuff. So that's the news, guys. We have a repurposed drug that is going into humans, and it's a big deal. NAL, go read that blog. I'm in Leaders Link. I'm thrilled. Go read those blogs. Sprint for SynGAP is Saturday. Participate, raise money. We need money to fund all this incredible science we're doing. And remember, SRF is a get to, not a have to. This is a huge resource for you as a family to make the future better for your kids. Thanks for listening. And as a coda to this episode, I want to remind people social media matters. It's how we find new families. We have 979 subscribers on YouTube. If you're not subscribed on YouTube, go to YouTube, hit subscribe. 3,529 subscribers on LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, go ahead and make sure you're following SynGAP Research Fund. If you're not on LinkedIn, get on LinkedIn. Guess what? Your kid's sick, you're a patient advocate. We engage on LinkedIn. And then we have 9,846 followers on Twitter. Oh, we're so close to 10,000. I can taste it. And that's exciting because then more people find us and more people take SynGAP 1 seriously, guys. It's really simple. Thank you all. See you soon. Go read that NAL blog. It's a big deal.